Hello everybody and welcome back. Last time we explored the continent of Tundaria and we reached the Tundaria Tower. And inside we got the Burst Brooch, which gave us a whole new synergy, and we also obtained the very first piece of the Trident. So we started making some progress. This time we're going to do a little bit more exploration around the continent and then we're going to continue on with our journey. So, a couple of things before we start. First off, as I mentioned last time, I did a little bit of grinding. Everybody's now at level 27. And I also messed around a bit with their EXP amounts. So, the order in which they level up is still the same. It will always be Felix, then Jenna, then Sheva, and then finally Pierce. But Pierce is not that far off from the other ones when it comes to leveling up. So he will level up pretty much at the same time as Sheva. Also, off screen I went back to Yalam and I turned the Sylph feather into the floating head, which now Sheva has. And another thing regarding the Sylph feather. Last time when I went over the Sylph rapier, I forgot to mention that similar to the Frost one, it is also a purely elemental weapon, meaning that any attack with the Sylph rapier, even if it's not an unleash, will count as a Jupiter attack. Also, last time there's one enemy that we managed to avoid in Tundaria Tower, so I'm going to quickly go over it. The enemy in question is the Magic-Orb. It is level 28, it has 321 HP, 34 synergy, 253 attack, 74 defense, 109 agility, and 11 luck. It has a Venus and Jupiter resistance of 100, a Mars resistance of 175, and a Mercury resistance of 25, and a Venus elemental power of 95 and Mars elemental power of 115. It normally yields 169 experience points, which then become 219 if we finish it off with a Mercury Gene. It drops 208 coins, which then become 270, and there is a 1 in 128 chances that then become a 1 in 32 that it will drop the Aura Gloves, which is an artifact piece of equipment, which I'll go over in a moment. As for its commands, it has the basic attack, the Poison Tail monster skill, the Nova, Bind, and Sleep synergies. Alright, on to the Aura Gloves. So they provide a defense boost of 36, and its side effect is that they can be used from your inventory to boost an ally's resistance by 40 points. Alright, so that we are done with Tundaria Tower, and there's just one more thing for us to obtain here in Tundaria. And in order to do that, we have to go a little further to the left. Alright, are we there? Almost. Well, that's not what I was looking for. Let's quickly take care of the Squirrel Fang. Alright. And that actually reminds me to set Mud back. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show this place in the world map. Right here, this small pocket right here. If you walk around long enough, you should encounter, well, you'll see in a moment. Not this, but let's quickly take care of them. Come on. Alright. So I wasn't looking for the Squirrel Fangs. We're looking for something else. That sure appears soon enough. There we go. Here we have another overworld gene. This one is called Whiz. It is level 28, it has 740 HP, 68 synergy, 234 attack, 70 defense, 197 agility, and 23 luck. Its elemental values are the same as any other Jupiter gene. It normally yields 781 experience points, which then become 1015 if we finish it off with a Venus gene. It drops 556 coins, which then becomes 722. And as for its commands, it has the basic attack, the Tornado, Blue Bolt, Shine Plasma, Sonic Slash, Destruct Ray synergies, and of course the Flee command. So, I'm going to give it one shot. If he runs away, then I'll just take him out normally. So, Ragnarok. Also, I forgot to mention, Jenna obtained a new skill, the Serpent Fume. It is pretty much an upgraded version of Fume, but we don't have enough synergy to actually showcase it. So, we'll leave that for later. Let's see if I can do anything here. Actually, see when I can paralyze him. And also, Sheva also learned a new move, the Shine Plasma synergy. So, let's see if I can actually put him to sleep or paralyze him. Anything that will slow him down. And also Pierce Learn Glacier, but I'm not going to use that now. I actually want to see if I can weaken Whis. $94, and he fell asleep, nice. Char 171, 260. $373, give or take. 400 and something. It's not gonna be enough. I'll give it one shot. I'll use Steel, and Sheva is going to go first. So let's actually no. Shine. No, actually, let's boost up Felix. Hopefully that will be enough. Come on, come on. I don't think it was. It was. Alright. Felix found the Jupiter Gene Whis. Alright. Oh boy, we have a lot to go over now. But first let's go over Whis. His battle effect is that he deals a Jupiter-based attack that is equal to the user's standard physical attack with an additional 50 points of damage, and it may inflict deadly poison, so quite a useful one. As for the set stat bonus that it provides, it gives a +9 to your base HP, +3 to your base synergy, and +5 to your base attack. Awesome, okay. So, quickly. Now that everybody has at the very least 5 Jin, that also means that at least one character has to hold 6. So, Pierce can finally have his 6th Mercury Gene. And that means, first off, that he reaches a new rank in the Mariner class, the Captain. As for the stats, he receives a 20% boost to HP and then a 10% boost to every other stat, aside from luck, and he has finally accessed the only synergy that was locked behind rank, the upgraded version of Diamond Dust, Diamond Berg. It is a Mercury attack with an additional 92 points of damage. It has a cost of 17 synergy and a range of 1. So an excellent synergy. The only downside is the cost, because the Mariner, even at the higher rank, has a pretty poor amount of synergy. But on to another thing. Now that any one character can hold 2 Jin, that also means that any one character can hold 2 of every other Jin aside from the element they represent. For example, Pierce can hold 2 Venus, 2 Mars, and 2 Jupiter. And if he were to do that, he would access a bunch of new classes and rank. First, let's go over the 3rd rank for the item-dependent classes. So first off, we have the PRL class. Pierce, or anyone else, can actually reach the 3rd rank, Punchinello. When it comes to stat, it receives a 30% boost in HP, a 20% boost in attack, and then a 10% boost in every other stat, aside from luck. And they have technically gained access to the one synergy that was locked behind rank, but that will only be unlocked at level 29. And yeah, we have a few other synergies that we have unlocked via leveling up. Alright, on to the Tamer. The new rank that we achieve is the Beast Keeper. As for the stat boost, it is the same that I just mentioned, 30% to HP, 20% to attack, and then 10 to everything else aside from luck. As for the new synergies, well, the Dinox is the upgraded version of the Orc synergy, the Chimera is the upgraded version to the Salamander, and the Griffon is technically, I believe, the upgraded version to another one that we managed to miss, because we reached this rank before that. And as for the new synergies, well, the one new synergy, or technically 2, is the Elderwood synergy, and then another synergy that we will unlock after we level up just once. On to the Dark Mage. The new class, the new rank that we can reach is the Necrolite. The stat boost is the same I just mentioned. And, well, we have unlocked one new synergy, which is the Cold Demon synergy, which is a Venus-based attack with a 1.9 multiplier that may reduce a target's HP to 1. And the enemy that you actually summon is the Red Demon, and you may have noticed that the attack is very similar to the Vital Moon monster skill. Alright, on to another thing entirely. Now that any one character can hold 6 Jin, we have unlocked access to a bunch of the Tri-Elemental classes. First off, we have the Dragoon. Felix and Jaina can access this one by merely holding 6 Jin, and Pierce can reach it later on, but he requires more Jin. As for the stats, it has a fairly decent value in HP, somewhat poor synergy, okayish attack value and defense value, pretty poor agility value, and well, I think it's the highest luck value that any class has. And being a tri-elemental class, that means that it has access to, well, 3 different elements. In this case, it has the Blast line of synergies for Mars damage, the Thorn line of synergies for Venus damage, and yeah, pretty much Mercury is only represented via the Cutting Edge synergy and, well, any of the other healing synergies. Alright, on to the medium class. Pierce and Sheva can access this one by merely holding 6 Jin, as shown on screen, and Felix can technically reach it, but he requires a different setup. When it comes to the stats, it has a decent, I guess, HP value, quite excellent synergy value, pretty poor attack and defense value, a pretty okay agility value, and slightly below the standard luck. And when it comes to the elements, it has the Bolt line of synergies for Jupiter damage, the Fraud line of synergies for Mercury damage, and then it has pretty much a few of the other synergies that are supposed to represent Venus, the Haunt, Revive, Curse, and the Cure synergies. Alright, on to the Ninja class. Felix and Jenna can reach this one by holding 6 Jin, and it is technically available to Sheva, but she requires a specific setup. It has quite excellent HP values, okayish synergy values, fairly decent attack value, a pretty poor defense value. The agility is actually pretty high for the first rank, and it has pretty poor luck. And it actually has a bunch of different synergies. It has the Gale and technically the Thunderclap synergies for Jupiter damage, the Punji synergies for Venus damage, the Firebomb synergies for Mars damage, the Death Plunge synergy, which is its single target synergy. It's actually a pretty good one. It is a Jupiter based attack with an additional 40 points of damage, and it has an upgraded version. Then it also has the Shuriken synergy and the Miss synergy. And then finally we have the Ranger class. Pierce and Sheva can reach this one normally, as shown on screen. The HP value is somewhat poor, the synergy value is pretty good, attack and defense are fairly below the standard for what you would expect for a tri-elemental class. As for the agility, it has a pretty good agility and decent luck, I would say. And it has access to the Slash synergies, the Douse line of synergies, the Ward, Resist, Volcano Eruption, and Bind synergies. Alright, so that was a lot, and technically we're missing 2 tri-elemental classes, the White Mage and the Samurai, but we don't have the means, the necessary Jin to reach it. Alright, so back to our journey. If you recall, Thundaria Tower actually looks fairly similar to another place that we went to before, way back at the beginning of the game. From the overworld, it looks almost the same as the Shrine of the Sea God, so that's actually going to be our next destination. Of course, the trip from here to here is actually quite a long one, so I'm going to make a small cut. Off screen, I'll also go by Yalom and reforge the Rusty Sword into the Rover's Blade, which I'm going to sell. And we actually want to make a quick stop at Daila, so I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright, welcome back. So, just in time. So, no, sorry, didn't mean to do that. There are a couple of reasons that I want to make a quick stop in Daila. First off is because I actually want to sell a few items because the inventory is looking a little bit cluttered. Let's see here. Let's sell the Hypnosword, the Clarity Circlet. What else? Let's sell the Disc Axe. Alright. So, last time that we were in Daila, I mentioned that there actually were a few items that we could not get because we did not have the synergies necessary. Well, now we do. And now that we have Scoop, we can get one item that is around here, I believe? Maybe it's a bit more to the top. Yeah, right there. Okay, so we got a Psy Crystal, and there's also one more item that we can get if we head for the Sanctum. Now that we have access to Frost, we can finally get the strange item that looks like a tear stone, a teardrop. And the reason why we're getting this right now is because if we don't take it with us to the Shrine of the Sea God, well, we will not be able to advance throughout it. And we got the Sea God's Tear. Alright. So, luckily for me, I would say, even though we're about to explore a section of the Shrine of the Sea God that is technically not accessible until we have access to the Lemurian ship, all of the enemies in the Shrine of the Sea God still remain the same as they were the first time we visited, meaning that they are so weak that if we just use a void they will not show up, which will make exploring this section of the dungeon much more easy. So we want to head back to the very same room where we first fought the first Jupiter Djinn in the game. And then we can advance from there. I actually want to set up a shortcut for a void because I know it will run out before we are done here. As I was saying. Alright, there we go. And it should be right around here. Right there to our right is where we fought the Djinn. And now that we have Frost, we can finally explore a little bit further. Alright. And right here, the reason that the water looks different is that this is actually water from the ocean. As you can see, we have a nice view of the Great Eastern Sea. Let's just push this all the way, and there we go. Luckily the dungeon itself is actually quite short, even if you take into account the first section that we completed all the way back at the beginning of the game. Alright, so there's a chest that I really want to get, and I just realized that I went the wrong way. Right here. Yeah, right here. Let's just quickly set up the shortcut back, and let's finally see what is inside that chest. And we got a rusty staff. So, of course, we can take this to Sunshine, so let's quickly go over what the rusty staff can potentially turn into. The Glower staff has an attack boost of 126, its unleash is called Flash Force, it deals 44 extra mercury damage and it may seal the target's synergy. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's continue here. So now we want to drop down here on the drifting piece of wood. There we go. Alright. Right through here, and we are almost done. And of course, as you can only expect at this point from most of the mandatory dungeons in the Great Eastern Sea, right near the end they require you to use Reveal. Alright. This statue looks a lot like the one in Dyla's Sanctum, So yeah, we have to use the Sea God's Tear here. And here we are. We are very near to the top. And this section right here looks very similar to the one in the Tundaria Tower. And here we are at the top. And here we have the right prong. Let's quickly inspect that. The right tine of a trident. Alright, so we're starting to make even more progress. We now got the second piece of the trident. We're only missing one. And with that out of the way, we have no further reason to stay at the Shrine of the Sea God. Alright, so, quick recap. We pretty much explored most of Indra and Oceania and all of Tundaria, and the south region of the Great Eastern Sea. There are still a few more places to go. For example, here in Angara there actually, we can see they have two large coasts that we can actually land if we take our ship, but I want to quickly pay attention to this particular island right here. It is one of the largest remaining in the Great Eastern Sea for us to explore, so I'm going to make a small cut and I'll see you guys back in this point in the map. Welcome back! So here we are, and there was a cat in the video there, so you probably did not see it, but as you approach the island, you not only see that there is a town there, but right here we have what looks like yet another elemental themed dungeon. But before we head there, I want to make a quick stop at the town. Here we are at Izumo, and alright, yeah, we have mind read on shortcut. We had a lot of trouble here in Izumo lately. I don't want to scare you, but you should leave, and fast, right now. Seriously, run. So, not the best welcome. The great serpent of Mikage has awakened. What does it all mean? That dragon is the guardian of the island, so why is it treating us so cruelly? So, before we learn anything else, I quickly want to visit the item store, because there are a few interesting things, mostly in the artifacts section. So right here we have two new artifacts, the Shamshir or Shamsir and the Ninja Blade. So I'm going to quickly go over both of them. The Shamshir has an attack boost of 99, its unleash is called Acid Bath, it deals 34 extra Mars damage and it may lower a target's attack by 25%. The Ninja Blade has an attack boost of 94, its unleash is called Cyclone Slash, it deals 38 extra Jubilee damage and it may lower a target's resistance by 40 points. Alright, so this is not the only thing of interest here, we also have another new artifact. In this case it is a piece of gear. We have the War Gloves. They provide a defense boost of 32 and their side effect is that they boost attack by 10 points. And as you can see there, the Rover's Blade is in the Artifacts tab because I sold it back at the Alan. Right, so let's continue exploring here. The power that Lady Osume and Susa possess comes from their ancestors. It cannot be learned, and it cannot be imitated. It was the day those bright rocks fell from the sky. That's when Kushinada gained her powers. Interesting, we actually heard about similar incidents, especially in the first game, regarding strange rocks falling from the sky. One day, Kushinada put on a display of power so great that it almost rivaled Susa's. It is such a shame, I really want to see how strong she might have become. So from that we can infer that there's someone called Kushinada that was struck on the head by a bunch of synergy stones and she learned some synergy. Also right here, if you use Cyclone, we have two hidden items. We have two antidotes, but antidotes suck, so I'm not going to get them, but I did want to show that they were there. And there are of course a bunch of hidden items here, but first I want to talk to a few more NPCs. What I want to know is, what caused our legendary guardian to awaken? The serpent is only supposed to awaken if the island is in grave danger. I wonder what calamity is going to befall us. That dragon's bane seems to have put the serpent under, but for how long? The serpent will drink as much dragon's bane as it can find, right down to the last drop. Nobody knows why it likes it so much. Considering how much it weakens them, it must be like catnip to them. So it says them, but there's actually only one serpent. Anyways. A while back, a volcano erupted on the mainland. We saw brilliant flashes of light to the west. The great dragon awoke shortly afterward. It caused a terrible panic throughout the island. I wonder if all the recent disasters aroused the dragon from his slumber on the mountain. So he is referring to the eruption of Mount Aleph, and apparently that also caused the serpent here to awaken. I cannot find my dagger. I had it earlier. What did it... I wonder if Susa... According to legend, that is the only thing that can put this serpent back to sleep. As for the dagger, I'll bet Susa's planning on using it to save Kushinada. The serpent cannot stand sunlight, so it only shows up in the village at night, just as the legend says. There's no way to get sunlight into the serpent's cave on Mount Mikage. Just no way. I am old, and I have had enough of this world. Why wouldn't I make a good sacrifice for the dragon? Our guardian serpent is really just a dragon. Why do dragons always want maiden sacrifices? I don't know. But there's actually one item here, if we inspect the wooden box. Or maybe... it wasn't here? One moment. What? I think I was inspecting it properly. Alright, now we got it. And of course, my inventory is full. Alright, let's see what I can get rid of. So, now that we cleared the Shrine of the Sea God, we have no use for the Sea God's tier. So there. And we got the Festival Coat. And it is actually quite a neat piece of equipment. It provides a defense boost of 28 points, and its side effect is that it boosts luck by 10 points. So, really, really useful. So, let's see. Who do I want to give it to? I guess Felix will be a good option. Alright, so we actually got a lot of information regarding the serpent here, such as its weakness and its possible origin. So I want to quickly go over a few of the hidden items that we can obtain here. The other way, sorry. Right here. If we go all the way here and inspect the jar, if I can, we got some water of life. So we're starting to get a little bit more information. It would seem that the guardian of Mount Mikage, and maybe Izumo as well, has awakened, possibly because of the eruption of Mount Aleph. And there's someone by the name of Kushinada that obtained synergy powers after being hit on the head by some synergy stones. Yeah, Susa came through here on his way to save Kushinada. The jerk knocked me flat and just kept on going. He was totally wild. I spoke to the same guy, sorry. Even if Susa tried to rescue Kushinada, she wouldn't just run away with him. I think she still believes that a hero will appear and defeat the serpent. That must be it. And here we have that girl, Kushinada. Susa, don't come for me. If I see you, I'll surely lose the courage to sacrifice myself for Izumo. If I run, Lady Usume and all of Izumo will suffer greatly. Please, don't come for me. Lady Usume has foretold the coming of a hero, and I believe her. And so I shall remain here, until the coming of the next full moon, and the hero. And we cannot approach her. So, she is apparently has been selected to be sacrificed, and somebody named Susa went to try and kill the serpent back at Mount Mikage. So that's going to be our next destination, but before that I want to quickly highlight this small section here. See this ring of giant stones? They have been here for ages. No one knows who put them here. See how they make this beautiful circle? Except for that one, right? Yes. Susa moved it. He did not even use his hands. He surely holds the secret to a great power. So, from that it is implied that both Susa and I guess Kushinada can use synergy, most likely the move synergy. The misaligned stone! It's back in its original position. How did this happen? Either Susa or Kushinada must have moved it when I wasn't looking. So, right now we recreated the usual pattern that indicates us to use reveal, and if we do, we have access to a new dungeon, the Sumo Ruins. Unfortunately, we cannot do anything about this dungeon right now, because we are missing one vital synergy, but I wanted to showcase it. Alright, one more thing, there's one more hidden item that I want to find. I believe it's around here. Yep, there we go. And we got a lucky medal. So, we reached a new destination, the town of Izumo, and our next goal, Mount Mikage. And we learn a little bit more about the history of the town and the Guardian Serpent. Next time, we're going to be heading for Mount Mikage and see what we can do regarding the serpent. See you guys!